So it was a productive night. I didn't do like more microscopic examination. I think that they were already. I mean, we had quite a bit, and it's okay for now. I mean, I was very satisfied with the certainly with the last four. I mean, no, the all six. I mean, besides the pit that contained nothing, but like the semen and the five, like and the four, like I mean, samples from containers were really good. Probably the most like I mean important lesson is that yes, sodium bicarbonate is a possibly, I mean, still, I mean, we need much more samples, many more samples, but I mean, to actually be sure about it, but it seems that it's actually a very good source. I mean, you know, effectively, you know, the sample was better than the sample, equivalent sample from the big metal containers that supposedly contain the same thing without the sodium bicarbonate, even though, again, it's not significant, like scientifically speaking, because I mean we need many more samples. But I mean it certainly did not hurt, and like my assumption is that it's quite overreaching. That I mean the assumption that I mean specifically, I mean the oxygen was the parameter here. Like I mean the key parameter, and that the NEOs, I mean. They had no problem in taking the oxygen from the sodium bicarbonate, like the 3 oxygen atoms from the molecule. Again, it's a little bit. I mean, maybe, you know, I would say like I mean, some would assume. I mean, some would say that I mean specifically when we discuss ecosystems that are always very complicated, there could be presumably so many other reasons. Even if we accept the fact that it was actually a successful slide, there's presumably be so many other reasons without like jumping into, you know, like I mean, you know, marshalling all our canons, because it's like I mean, but I don't want to limit myself. Like I mean, I don't think that I mean, yes, I mean generally when we discuss science, we should stick to the things that we already know, and I mean not try to introduce all sorts of like I mean very. I mean, problematic, like even, of course, from the physical aspect, like, I mean, particle physics, like ideas that, I mean, can, like, I mean, you know, insert us, you know, to new grounds that perhaps are true, but, I mean, very difficult to prove. But it's not, and sometimes I stick to this kind of, like, I mean, conservative notions, scientifically speaking, but it's not always the rational way, because we already know that the particle physics are not sufficient in order to understand the NEOs phenomenon. So, given that, I mean, it's not necessarily like the rational way to always stick to what you know. No. I would claim that it's not actually the rational way. That in such a case, you should definitely, I mean, assume very, I mean, advanced capabilities of these robots. Just, I mean, in case that even if you've seen them doing like things that are similar or in associative way, I mean, reminds you of that, but not in a rigorously scientific way. Still, it's good enough. Like I mean, in order to kind of like I mean to formulate all sorts of like theories and assumptions, because I mean otherwise I mean we kind of like I mean, and again it's like I mean you know keep denying like you know. Like keep denying, you know, God. I mean, after you already like had enough proof of his existence. I mean, just I mean, to be okay with kind of like I mean, you know, like prima facie, you know, like accepted, you know, culturally accepted, like you know, norms within the academy. But why should we care about the academy? We are not part of the academy, and we are not part of any, like I mean, society of scientists. Even though everything is as public as I can and open to the public, and of course I always like to get comments, but I'm not part of any establishment, so why should I mean ground myself or I mean limit myself to all sort of issues that are basically political or certainly social and not really scientific. Again, after already what you've seen, I mean, my assumption is that they have no problem at all separating atoms from molecules, and that oxygen is, I mean, very important. Certainly, if you want like very big life forms and very big NEOs, much is still need to be proved. But yes, I will go along this path and try to create more containers, various containers with based on containers that we already have with bicarbonate, sodium bicarbonate, to see, I mean, what happens. I mean, and to have more comparisons. So this will not be done now because now I need to eat breakfast, but also I would like to. So people say, I mean, okay, dude, I mean, yes, you speak about Jordan, very interesting. Like, I mean, but I mean, they are a piece of cake. Like, I mean. And Israel is also, I mean, you know that, I mean, you said it yourself. This is like the leper colony. So why don't you, I mean, start to, I mean, confront the reality? I mean, you yourself, you preach us that the other nations that we should, I mean, start like, I mean, not start, I mean, immediately, I mean, stop our relationship, certainly security and defense related relationship with the Americans. So, but you yourself, I mean, you stick to those dwarves, like, I mean, to those midgets, like, like, or whatever political terms, for, like, I mean, politically correct term, I mean, so first of all, I would say no. The crimes of Israel are immense and they deserve tremendous punishment, and this is also true to Jordan. So these things should have been said, but what I do agree is that enough for now, and yes, we should, I mean, now, I mean, it's, I mean, I think that it was very important, I mean, to put things like in place or in order, both from, like, I mean, theoretical perspective, but also, I mean, from the performance, like art performance, I mean, in the art, like in the front, like, or the theater, like in a military term, not like, I mean, like in a theater, like of art performance, of performative arts. But yes, I do agree that, I mean, at that point, I mean, if we do not continue with the United States, we are kind of like inconsistent. So that's what we should do. And of course, I mean, certainly I have like the famous, like, oil flag that I'm really proud of. I really like this flag. Is, I mean, from, like, artistic, I mean, point of view. And I will also search for another flag, I mean, another American flag, maybe of acrylic, so we'll have, like, I mean, two different ones, in line with the duality of the Neros. And at last, I mean, we have, like, I mean, several paintings of supercarriers, our worst American enemies. And as you know, by the way, I mean, I've said it many times, that from the Neros, from the Cherubs perspective, also the Neros, but specifically the Cherubs, the American flag does not signify, I mean, they don't really care about flags of, like, humans. Like, it's all, like, they all interpret it in a mimetic way. And this is actually fascinating. I spoke about it a little bit in the past, because actually several times, because it's very funny, like, I mean, fascinating, like, I mean, like, to learn what they actually, I mean, how they interpret flag, because they interpret, like, every flag, I mean, even like town flag, like, I mean, like, I used Rishon LeZion flag, or Shoam flag, I mean, like, bizarre flags. So they have interpretation for every flag, but it's never what you think. Like, I mean, it's always things that are very funny when you actually learn what they are. And as I said, I mean, the most, like, I mean, incredible or incredulous was, I mean, to understand what they make of the American flag. And as I said, this is, I mean, it was the funniest, even though they were all funny. Like, I mean, the Rishon LeZion flag is kind of like, I mean, a head of an android, like, of a robotic, like, humanoid. And, like, and Brazil is like Saturn, like the planet Saturn. And I mean, so they have also very funny interpretations. But I mean, the thing that really, I mean, was funniest from my perspective, and it took me a long time to understand it, like a long time until I understood it. But eventually I did understand it, that the American flag is actually, as I said, I mean, maybe you remember that it's an instruction to the fleet with regards to how to calibrate radiation weapons. I shit you not. Instruction to the fleet with regards to calibration of radiation weapons. These are actually the main weapons of the Cherubian ships. So, I mean, it's very important. It's not the only weapon, but it's a main weapon is radiation weapon. But we also need to, I mean, so we'll put, like, the super carriers here and on this wall, like, in front, of the table that I use, and we'll prepare, the hookah. And hopefully, I mean, because, I always maintain that, I mean, that the super carriers are I mean, it's not only me, many people say it. It's like a juggernauts of diplomacy, like, as they say. Like, I mean, these are the tools that, I mean, famously, like, American presidents are always using. Like, I mean, when they are kind of, especially when there is, like, been a crisis, like, like the current crisis, like, in Israel and Hamas. I mean, so So the first thing that, and famously, the first thing that they do when there is kind of like a crisis, I mean, but not only then, on other occasions as well, but certainly when there is a crisis, they always, like, I mean, search for the closest, I mean, for assistance of the closest super carrier. So, I mean, we have several paintings, very impressive. Actually, the main problem is that the wall is too small. But I mean, yes, I emptied some space and we'll place it. And once everything is ready, I'll actually, I'll record another short video just to show you the setup, and then we will start with the art performance.